Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. With this cycle now quickly approaching the very ending of this bull run, where we know historically speaking, this is always the biggest upside gain that happens in our entire bull market. We are moments away from breaking out and confirming a new all-time high in all of our altcoin indexes, and I noticed a pattern that is playing out that I've traded multiple times in my decade in crypto, and has been the most profitable pattern that I've ever been able to trade. Today, I'm going to be breaking down why the cup and handle is the biggest and most bullish chart pattern for continuation that exists, why the total market cap of altcoins is literally creating a textbook example of this pattern, and what it means going over the next few months for our new all-time high price action that we're about to see in the altcoins. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Without further ado, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Jumping into today's video, and I'm going to be breaking down and explaining to you guys the most bullish chart pattern that exists in all of crypto. I watched so many different altcoins create this pattern back in 2017. Most people weren't trading in 2017 to know just how parabolic that cycle really was. But when I look at the crypto markets following almost the exact same pattern, except we have more money than ever before with real institutional adoption that we just didn't see in 2017, it gets me really excited because, guys, we've seen a pullback over the last 24 hours. Many people are writing off FOMC as a sell the news type of event. Most people are just overlooking what is actually taking place on the higher time frame. So today, I wanted to break it down, make sure that you guys know exactly how impulsive this cycle is just about to get, and why it's really, really important that we continue to hold to our investments, we ignore the FUD, and we focus in on the next few months ahead, because this is where we're going to make all of our profit in our portfolios. If you've been somebody that's investing over the course of the last 3 years, you'll know that we're always waiting for that final year of the bull market where most of the profits generated. Now, when we're looking at some of the prior cup and handles that I've had the opportunity of trading, this is one of the best performing assets of 2017, and this is kind of the cycle that it gave us right before its major blow off top. Now, I'm only drawing a small section versus what actually happened when this thing broke out, and it ended up going much, much higher than this. Now, obviously, we have more money in the crypto markets than ever before, so the odds of it going up, 1,000x in value is not going to be as realistic, right? But, if the total altcoin market cap were to do a 10 or a 20x in value and grow that much, you got to understand that all of the cryptos in the market, there's going to be plenty of them that are going to go up 1,000 and 10,000x. It's just what happens every single cycle. We've seen a number of assets that can blow up and do 1,000x gains in just a matter of a few months. Shiba Inu was a prime example of that with all of the meme coin craze. But what I noticed here was that our total altcoin market cap is completing almost this exact same textbook pattern. Now, basically what a cup and handle is, I came over here and pulled up this chart. This will give you guys an example as far as like how to trade it and what it looks like. Now, the understanding of a cup and handle is it's a continuation pattern, and it's one of the most bullish, if not the most bullish continuation pattern that exists. Basically, you'll have an uptrend, and that'll be down here, however big, it doesn't matter. You'll have the uptrend, and then you'll finish out the top of that move, and you'll come back down and make this big kind of bowl-shaped pattern. This is going to be the cup of the cup and handle. You rally back up into that same all-time high resistance, and then you start actually forming what is known as the handle. The handle comes back to about the mid-range point of the cup, and once it finishes bottoming, generally that's going to be about the 618 Fibonacci if you want to use an actual chart pattern and principle to look at. Once it hits that 618, that's when the reversal starts. And we've seen a number of different assets complete this pattern. And I'm telling you guys right now, this has been my most profitable thing to trade over the course of all of my cycles. I didn't see it form a lot in the last bull market, which was something I was a little surprised of. I was anticipating we'd see quite a few cup and handles in the last cycle, but I just don't think there was that much money to go around. What it gives me a lot of confidence when we're looking at this cycle is the fact that our market, our total altcoin market cap, is literally creating this textbook fractal once more. And like I say, guys, this is the one that generates such a big new all-time high breakout because it's kind of a continuation into a blow-off top. That's generally the way that you're going to end up seeing this pattern kind of follow through. Now, if we're looking over here, we're going to map out this chart pattern with our current market cycle. So we're looking down here at the total market cap. This would have been the top of our cup, right? When we rallied and peaked at the end of the year of our last cycle in 2021, this is what creates the top of that cup. So if we come over here and draw a line, that's going to be giving us the very top end of this cup. Now, if you notice, we came all the way back down and we start that basin of the cup, the big rounded bottom, and that's what we've been doing ever since, right? You know, we have a very clear rounded bottom formation that has formed over the last 2 years, and we can see that as indicated over here. If we come down and draw a line, we've just been kind of riding and growing on this trend line as it's going more and more parabolic, getting ready for that new all-time high breakout. We just haven't quite seen the all-time high breakout as of right now. But seeing such a consistent price action where it's just creating that rounded bottom, it gives me confidence that what's coming on the other side is a blow off top. I've made it very clear to you guys that the most bullish part of the cycle is going to happen right when we clear all-time highs, and we're right there at that moment. Now, the thing that we're watching for was the handle, right? We had this rally up, but you can't really call this the top of the cup because we didn't retest the all-time high resistance. It wasn't until this move right here that we finally ended up tagging the top of that resistance. Now, what I find really interesting is if we're actually taking a look and drawing our Fibonacci from the low to the high, notice how the 618 Fibonacci is right here between the 0.5 and the 0.6. That is where you're going to see these cup and handles bottom. Whether it's the 0.5 or the 0.618, it doesn't really matter. Either or, both are going to show the mid-range of the cup. So we notice we rallied all the way up into resistance here. We came back down, tagged this 0.5 Fibonacci perfectly. In fact, we almost came back down a little bit below it towards the 618, but it doesn't change anything. This is a textbook example of a cup and handle formation, and I wanted to draw you guys a pattern of one of the first ones I had the opportunity of trading back in 2017, which was actually Dash. Most people don't remember what Dash actually was, but it was basically just another version of Bitcoin back in the early days. And what we notice here was Dash made the same rally. We didn't quite tag the very top of that cup, which is almost the same thing that happened over here. Notice how we just stopped just short of the all-time high before we started that handle. It's almost exactly the same as what we saw with Dash in 2016 and 2017. Once we tagged the top of this resistance, we sold back down and we bottomed perfectly at that 0.5 Fibonacci. We didn't go to the 618, we bottomed at this 0.5. So generally, whenever you see that handle kind of stop at that 0.5, it just shows that there's even more buy support inside of the market, and that's a good sign. The lower that the handle dips, the weaker that the pattern goes. So you kind of want it to hold better support, at least up to the 5 and the 0.618. Once it breaks the 618, it's not really classified as a cup and handle anymore, which is why it's so important that we held the support and kept going up. It's the same thing that is happening today. There's really not a difference in the world. When we're looking at Fibonacci, we stopped at the same point just below that all-time high, came right down perfectly to that 0.5 fib, and we've bounced right into those all-time highs. Guys, once we break out of this all-time high, it is going to be clear skies ahead. And I'm telling you right now, because we're forming this cup and handle, and because we're so late into the cycle, this is what happens to the cup and handle when it breaks out. It's all just one big glorious pump. And that's why I said in yesterday's video, we need to be prepared for the market to just go straight vertical over the last 3 months of this cycle, considering it's not that crazy for that to happen. We've seen prior Bitcoin cycles where over the course of 90 days and 140 days, it ended up going from 3K to 20K and then from 11K to 60K. So all of the biggest moves in Bitcoin have happened over the course of about a 2 to 3 month period or a range. This cycle is no different. We've taken all of this time to accumulate just to get to these all-time highs. But the thing that most people are underestimating is just how powerful these cup and handles really are. A perfect example of one that we just saw break bullish was actually gold. Gold completed a perfect cup and handle formation right over in here where we have the top of the cup. We come all the way back down and we start this rounded bottom formation. Same thing that happened here in gold. And not only that, but gold held even higher support, right? We go from the very base of the cup all the way to the resistance and back down. You're going to see that gold actually bottomed over here at the 382. It didn't even come all the way down to the 0.5. So like I stated, the better that this handle holds support on the upside, the more bullish that the pattern actually gets. And it's not coincidental that right after gold broke that prior all-time high, all it did was go vertical. Like I stated, guys, this is a continuation pattern. We already had this prior cycle that formed over here. This was the all-time high from where we peaked at 1980. We came up, tagged that, rejected, and that was what led us into this next higher high. 2008 financial crisis happened. Gold ripped into new all-time highs and made a massive move for the next 3 years. And then ever since then, we had basically just been building the foundation of this cup and handle being the cup itself. And then shortly after, we rallied straight into those all-time highs, made a small pullback in the handle, and we got massive continuation into new all-time highs shortly after. I'm telling you guys, over my decade in crypto, I've been able to see this pattern play out a few times, and it doesn't really happen that often. It only happens in the very most bullish assets that we have in the market. I can give you guys one other example of one off the top of my head. And a perfect example of this was actually BitShares. Most of you guys weren't trading in 2017 to really understand just how powerful these cup and handle formations actually are. But this is kind of another example of one. Now, the resistance didn't come quite as high. Usually that cup handle is going to come down a little bit shorter than that true all-time high, but we still follow pretty much the same exact rule of thumb. From the beginning of the cup, we come up here, we rally into resistance, this comes back and tags that 0.5 Fibonacci, same thing that happened here. And like I stated guys, it's a continuation pattern. So what happens is the blow off top. You see this uptrend that had already been forming, right? BitShares had been on this big run, been climbing up. Once it completed that first little peak, came back down, rallied back into resistance. This is the handle. What happens after is the final blow off top of that move. So when we come out and we actually take the time to just look at the way our cycle is developing with altcoins, keep in mind, this is the crypto total altcoin market cap. It doesn't get any more bullish than seeing your entire index of all altcoins creating one of the most bullish continuation patterns that exist. It was generally a cup and handle that would lead into a blow off top. Now there's plenty other reasons that a blow off top can happen. There's other chart patterns that can form, but I'm telling you guys right now, the cup and handle is one of the most impulsive. A good example is actually Ethereum. If we go and take a look at Ethereum in 2017, you know, it kind of did this exact same setup. Ethereum's blow off top in 2017 was almost the exact same type of pattern here. Now, obviously, this is going to be a little bit more of an ascending triangle. So like I said, you could get different types of continuation patterns that are going to be just as bullish. They show the same thing, continuation. An ascending triangle is a good example of what happens, and sometimes you can see cup and handles and ascending triangles kind of form inside of one pattern. That's something else that happens. Now, this is more of an ascending triangle, but it shows kind of the same point here. Notice how the resistance kind of stops a little bit short, like what we've seen across the board on these other fractals I've shared with you. But then this one came down also to that 0.5 fib. You know, it kind of peaked a little bit lower in between the 0.5 and the 618, but this is still kind of the same thing. Top of the cup, you have the base, secondary retest of resistance is the top of the cup. Once again, this completes that, and then you have this handle that pulls back right down to the 0.5 fib, and then shortly after, what follows is the final blow off top. So that's the way that these cycles are oftentimes going to look. So when we're looking at the total altcoin market cap doing this exact setup, where we've just finished the base of the cup, we rallied back up to complete the top of the resistance, which is the top of the cup. Now that we've finished out this handle and we're just moments away from confirming a new all-time high breakout, every single example I showed you showed the same thing. A complete vertical blow off top. Yes, there's going to be little pullbacks, but I'm telling you guys right now, this is why we've built our positions. This is why we've been developing all of these investments. Whatever it is that we have the most, inclination is going to perform the best, whether it's fundamentally, whether it's based off the chart, whether it's based off what some analyst told you, it doesn't really matter. When we're looking at the entire index of altcoins showing the most bullish continuation pattern that exists, it's not coincidence as to why that is forming. We have institutional adoption for the first time ever. Now with the institution, we're starting to see institutional FOMO. They're starting to chase after ETH in the same ways that they saw Michael Saylor do that with MicroStrategy. Now that we're all kind of coming into this head, in my opinion, the only thing left is for retail to drive up the value of these assets substantially all in one final kind of peak mania to wrap out this bull market. If you guys have been here developing positions, now is the time where we just hold. We don't want to get shaken out because I'm telling you, I've been in crypto for a decade, and the fact that I'm seeing the entire altcoin total market cap creating this same fractal has been more bullish than I can possibly explain. So with that being said, guys, hold on to your investments. Ignore the FUD. Remember that the next 3 months are where we have the opportunity to generate life-changing wealth in the crypto markets. And the only way that you're going to miss out on that is just simply if you get panicked, you sell, you go into the cash, you do some silly mistake a little bit too early, and what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up costing yourself a life-changing amount of profit once this market truly breaks out. So guys, if you did find value in this video, drop a comment. Let me know what you thought about this. I want to hear your guys' perspective of what we're seeing currently in our indexes. I can't get more bullish, which is why I'm excited to share with you guys this video. It's going to be uploaded a little bit late, generally towards my schedule. I'm not going to stream today. I wanted to drop a video instead. But guys, even though the market's pulling back, even though we're seeing some volatility, volatility. You got to ignore it, because this is where we're going to really generate either life-changing wealth, or the people that are actually bearish right now, that are in the cash, that aren't going to really be that confident in what's coming, they're just going to miss out entirely, and most likely they're going to end up FOMO buying the top. Where in this cycle we've never seen retail, true euphoria in any sort of way. This is what is about to take place, and it's not coincidental as to why this market is pricing in, the most bullish chart pattern that exists. So guys, if you found value, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. If you guys want to see what I'm buying, selling, trading before this blow off top takes place, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my private group on my website. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.